everyone. I am Belinda Parker Brown with Louisiana United International. We are a civil constitutional human rights organization, and we're standing right here today in the front of the 40th District Court in St. John the Baptist Parish in the state of Louisiana, and we're here to let the world know that it's time for it to stop when it comes to the organized legal abuse in our criminal justice system. And here I have Dr. Zena Crenshaw Logo with me, and she's gonna lay things out and explain to you, when I say the fix is in, the fix is in. Go ahead.
Well, thank you so much. And as I said, I'm Dr. Zena Crenshaw Logo, and I'm Assistant Chief of Counsel for Louisiana United International. And I also am here in my capacity as a co-principal of Brown Vindicators. We are crisis management experts, and we are here to help Reverend Victor contend with his crisis, which is anyone who's been the subject of deliberate, orchestrated abuse of the legal system recognize that it is in fact a personal crisis. And on just this past Friday, Ms. Belinda and I, on our signatures, we took this case from a local level, and we have people who are going to be talking about the facts of this case and how it's impacted this community locally. But we took Reverend Victor's story to a global discussion been having since 2015. And what people need to understand is that in challenging our criminal justice system, our legal system in this country, this was after at least 30 years of individuals just like us, average citizens, but actually, to tell you the truth, people from all walks of life. Because there's one thing about this orchestrated abuse of power, where the legal system gets weaponized against individuals for reasons that have nothing to do with their liability for any type of civil or criminal misconduct. The one thing about this that I have found after doing this work full-time since 1998, after serving over a decade as a civil litigator, is that it is equal opportunity. The legal system in this country can be turned and weaponized and start serving improper, illegal, often criminal objectives. And all it takes is people in power willing to do just that. And so when we presented this matter to the UN Human Rights Council, we made Reverend Victor the face of easily as much as 1 million people who are the victims, and we have compelling evidence that what this prosecution is all about, a prosecutor vendetta, and that race is a substantial factor in why the Reverend Victor has been targeted. And that not only is this a vendetta apparently on the part of people who have an objectively discernible motivation to try to remove Reverend Victor, who was once a very powerful, influential, wealthy businessman, as an African American. He had business competitors, all of which from as much as we can tell, who are not people of color, who appear to be white business competitors, who have an interest in removing him from the local economics. And the strategy went beyond just trying to deal with someone who is perceived as guilty of a crime, and it crossed the line, and it has been about trying to avoid evidence of innocence. Now, I'm going to talk about this line very quickly, and then we're going to have some people who are going to be talking more about the personal dynamics of Reverend Victor's case and how his case plays out over and over again in this state and across the country. But I'm going to be a little bit philosophical, make a few points to try to help people to understand that there's a line between subverting the truth and ensuring guilty people are convicted. Now, most people would say that they are on the side of the truth. However, when you are up against the weight of government in this country, state and federal government, it's hard to even stay on the line, let alone make sure you're on the right side and that you're fighting for truth. And that is the reality of all criminal defense lawyers in this country. They, no matter what their wealth and what their prestige, they're still up against the power and the weight of either the state government or federal government. And in those type of scenarios, we're all understaffed, we're all underfunded. Okay, so when you take that imbalance of power where you got the full force of government against an individual. When you then add into that mix government tactics that seem to presume guilt instead of innocence. And when you have the government, seeming fixated, seeming to willing to take you down by any means necessary, then due process, concepts like due process and equal protection get very blurred. And in Reverend Victor's case, when you look at Reverend Victor's case, too many of the government tactics, they go from being blurry to clearly inappropriate. So we're going to have, are you going to have a Reverend Darren or Ms. Christina?
We'll go with you, Pastor Darren.
Good afternoon. I'm Pastor Darren Boykins, and I just want to iterate. This case is about a successful African American male being destroyed. He had a successful construction company. He had visions of almost like a Black Wall Street, where he's going to build supermarkets and all type of business ventures in a parish that was controlled economically by white Americans. And when he went to develop his plan, they attacked him. And they tried to do everything to stop him, but he prevailed. And that made him mad. And then what happened is there was an incident where his son had an asthma attack, a very severe asthma attack, and died. And they used that as a vehicle to destroy him. They said that he killed that kid. He hung that kid, which was an absolute truth, proven in court. That the kid, they had no marks at all on his neck. Nothing was out of order. But they said we got in. The first day that he was arrested, on the third day, his credit score 850, never being late in his life on any bill. They foreclosed on his house. Imagine, 3 days after you paid your bill, your house get foreclosed on. That within itself is unconstitutional. They seized his house. Then they took his business. Even they raided his bank account. Lawyers went in and took $250,000. One took $250,000 out of his bank account, provided no services. They raided his money. He put up the highest bond ever, over $4 million. And still couldn't get out. He has no conviction. He's been in jail for over 2 years and still can't get out. They have destroyed him. His kids was put up for adoption before he went to court. 8 of his kids were permanently given away. He was sent to Louisiana State Penitentiary, a place that's reserved for people who have 75 years to the death penalty, and he had not been sentenced. He was being transported, which is 3 or 4 hours away, driven back and forth to court. So we're saying that he needs help. There are a lot of African American businessmen that are being destroyed like that.
And Elder Brown, you have comments to the community.
Yes, I'm Carl Brown, and one of the things that we're here to do is to make the community aware of what's going on in your backyard. And for the community to come out and stand with us, stand together as one, because we voted these people in office. You have the right to vote them out of office. The only way you're going to stop corruption is to take a stand against what you know and what you see that has been going on for years, and to put an end to it.
To know of a situation to where an individual, unfortunate family tragedy has turned to accuse him as being a malicious killer is very disturbing and problematic. We today stand demanding justice. We demand corrective, manifest injustices, a miscarriage of justice, and we demand that every person that is responsible shall and will be held accountable.
Now, Mr. Taylor, personal.
Robert Taylor, lifelong resident of St. John the Baptist Parish, and I've known the victims practically all of my life. And I cannot imagine, I am frightened to death by what this system can do to a man like Reverend Victor. I know somebody like myself would not stand a chance against this system if they could actually do the things they're doing to this great man. When I say great, this man raised his family himself. His kids were not sagging pants. His kids were building homes. They built that almost $1 million home. They were trained in the church. If these people could come by and get this man and just completely disrupt his whole family, they took those people's 2 babies and shipped them off to New York State, to New York City, before a trial even, before he was convicted of any crime. I mean, just basic rights. I implore, especially the people of St. John Parish, to reconsider this, to look at this, and is this what you want done to poor black people? The horror that they committed against Reverend Victor and his family.
Thank you so much.
Christina. I am Christina Gross, legal director for LUI's Legal Defense Team. It's a privilege to be able to speak to you all today across our nation. I've worked with many criminal defense attorneys, and I had a focus on paralegal, but also as a legal assistant, post-conviction relief, and parole. In the last year alone, I have personally witnessed 147 cases of just African American males that were pushed into plea deals, railroaded by such a disturbing level that it is past criminal activity. It's not about the guilty plea in our court systems in the United States. It's not about the plea. It's the conviction. It's the number that you are to that district attorney's office and to that judicial court to raise their rating. That is all it is. And majority of the people that are being pushed into these plea deals by psychological torture, by warfare, we are technically at war as American citizens with our legal system, and we are vulnerable to it, and it can happen to anyone. I am here to tell you all today that, as a white woman, I feel compelled and responsible to stand up here knowing I have witnessed what I consider modern day slavery in our judicial system nationwide. And I may have only experienced it in a few parishes and witnessed it, but it's everywhere. People are not having due process. They are being denied parole. They are being pushed into plea deals where they think they're taking a deal, and 2 days later they're habitually billed with life sentences as 3rd or 4th offenders. It's far beyond what our minds can try to fathom. And I urge anyone, I am a victim. Reverend Victor's case is the face for you. Do not stand behind fear anymore. Please bring us your story. We will help you. We will fight this fight with you. Please go to show your support. Join our campaign. Be a part of it with us. It's nationwide. It's www.victorheldhostage, VICTORHELDHOSTAGE.net. It speaks amazing timeline proving the injustice that's been caused here, but it's everywhere. And we need to come together.
Okay, we're going to wrap this up. Again, I'm Belinda Parker Brown, the Chief of Operations for Louisiana United International. We're standing here today saying that this has to stop. The pursuit for justice in regards to Pastor Reverend Errol Victor has taken this whole thing over the top. And we're saying we're not going to tolerate it anymore. We're demanding that the state of Louisiana have a comprehensive investigation on these type of injustices that have been taking place here for decades. It has been determined that when the United States Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, said that it was unconstitutional that this schemed up racist Jim Crow law to snatch people off the street and put them in prison and give them 25 years to life on a non-unanimous jury verdict, it's unheard of. It was only 2 states in the whole country that did that, and Louisiana took the lead. And what we're saying here today is that this has been a travesty in the sake of Reverend Victor's life, his family, his community, and the world needs to know that if something like this can take place in the United States of America and there is no adequate redress, there is nowhere for us to turn, there is nobody that can come and help us, we got to stand and do it ourselves. And that's why we're here today. And we're saying that we cannot let this continue.
Will not.
We need the community to embrace our campaign. This is a public outcry, because if it happened to him, just like my constituents have said here today, it can happen to anyone. So don't wait until it happens to you or your loved ones to come and stand with us. Stand with us now for the sake of our children, our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren, and the fabric of our Constitution in the United States of America.
Where there is no justice, there is no peace.